Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to WWE Monday Night Raw, April 11th, 2016 review. Oh, did I throw you guys on a curve there? Well, I'm broke down. I'm doing a review of the current WWE product. In the last 2 weeks of episodes, from last week on April 4th and today, I'm extremely impressed. Raw was pretty well done last week. Not really the greatest show, but it was decent. This one was an improvement from last week. To me, they seem like they're building some kind of momentum and starting to go back to the roots of WWE when it was good. And people were intrigued by it, and people liked it and appreciated it for what it was, and so forth. And this episode had everything going for it. It told a story in each and every match that's being developed for the Payback pay-per-view. This build-up is actually way better than WrestleMania 32's build-up. There's storytelling going on throughout this 3-hour episode that I was absolutely impressed by. So definitely a lot of great things happened in this episode. I'd only say about 30 minutes of the show sucked, and about the rest of it, the majority of it, was absolutely outstanding. To kick things off, we had Shane McMahon come out for a secondary, a second week in a row of having control over Monday Night Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one thing to say. A lot of people are saying, well, Undertaker and Shane McMahon's match means nothing. There is a way they could fix that. They don't give Shane McMahon complete power. They don't have complete... He doesn't get any power over Monday Night Raw. It's basically kind of filling in the shoes of the Authority. But in the meantime, when the Authority does come back, they still have control over Monday Night Raw and the storylines, but they make because Shane McMahon was doing a good job replacing the Authority for the time being. Vince McMahon considers, hey, you know what? How about we have Shane McMahon be the commissioner of WWE and book the matches? Since he's doing an outstanding job, he can't go back on the word that we talked about running Monday Night Raw. But I'll give you something better. You can book the matches. I think that would be great. It wouldn't, make the Undertaker-Shane match mean nothing from the loss that Shane McMahon had, but it kind of alters things a little bit because he had the opportunity to take the ball and run with it and do a great job, but at the same time still stick to the guns of the original the stipulations to the Shane Undertaker match. In the meantime, he would just end up being a commissioner where he gets to make matches and still have some kind of, I would say, not control, but ability to make the shows better by booking the matches. You could also have Triple H and Stephanie McMahon behind the scenes run SmackDown. But the thing about the whole brand extension situation, I don't like the idea. The roster is not strong enough to do a brand extension. Even if you made Monday Night Raw 2 hours, I don't agree with the idea. I think that they should just have Triple H run SmackDown with Stephanie behind the scenes. Have Triple H and Stephanie be the authority figures on Raw, storyline-wise, and have Shane McMahon be the booker of Raw and SmackDown and be the commissioner, basically. That's how I would do it. So, getting into things, Shane McMahon comes out, pretty much announces some of the matches that will go on during the show for tonight. So he first announces that Natalya will face Charlotte for the Women's Championship belt later on tonight, and there's also an NXT, or not NXT. What am I talking about? A tournament for the WWE Tag Team titles, which gives legitimacy to the Tag Team Championships, I think. They have some decent tag teams and some really shitty tag teams. The good tag teams definitely, you know for a fact, are going to be sticking around until the very end. Pretty much the four that you'll see in the semifinals is the Usos, who won tonight. You're also going to see Enzo and Cass win their match. The Dudley Boys won theirs. And probably you'll see, like, maybe R-Truth going about winning their match against R-Truth and Goldust against whoever they may be facing on SmackDown. Or you might be seeing the NXT tag team, the Valhalla Villains, or whatever the hell they're called, the 1940s gimmick tag team, which you might see move on to the next round altogether. But moving into things, he also announces that AJ Styles will be facing Sami Zayn for the number one contendership. If Sami Zayn was to win, he would turn that match into a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for Roman Reigns' belt. So in that situation, we got to see that occur. That was a great match. I'll get into that as I move forward with this review. On top of that, Kevin Owens came out and announced how he was he also was giving Sami Zayn the opportunity against AJ Styles because he felt he was taken out of the Fatal 4-Way unfairly on account of Kevin Owens' actions. So Kevin Owens comes out, says he's pissed off about the situation, doesn't think it was fair. He wasn't even pinned in the Fatal 4-Way match. And on top of that, he was the Intercontinental Champion going into WrestleMania 32, and he never really lost the title, he feels. He felt like Sami Zayn screwed him out of that as well. And so he feels that, hey, I was the former champion, I deserve to be able to do my rematch clause against The Miz for the championship tonight. So what happens is Shane sets up the match with Kevin Owens and Cesaro for a number one contenders match for the IC title for Payback as well. Kevin Owens, of course, doesn't take that to his liking. He's very upset, of course, over that. And we move into our very first match, which was Cesaro and Kevin Owens. Cesaro and Kevin Owens, like SummerSlam of 2015, this match actually was probably better than that one. This match went back and forth. The action was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of good moves that were performed in this match. And at the end of the day, Cesaro walked away as the winner and the number one contender for the IC title. Later on that night, you also get to see Kevin Owens escorted out of the building by Shane McMahon. And that's pretty much it. I was kind of surprised there was a clean finish in the number one contenders match. I'm surprised Kevin Owens did not figure out a way to maybe distract Sami Zayn out of the match, but there was a clean finish, which was kind of surprising. We also see that Dr. Phil, was backstage, heavily involved in the women's division storyline situation, mostly with dealing with Charlotte, with Ric Flair, and saying to her that she really doesn't need Ric Flair. Ric Flair is pretty much pointing out the obvious that most fans are getting sick of, is Ric Flair interfering in the women's championship matches that she has. So, he goes on to say this stuff that's rather true, she's costing everybody the opportunity. Says she's a very talented performer, and that she really doesn't need her father to put on great matches and be successful and be a winner within WWE. Of course, she doesn't agree with that. She says pretty much the attitude, like, you don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. Walks away, and that's pretty much it. And Ric Flair goes woo to Dr. Phil, but Dr. Phil does it first instead, multiple times instead of Ric Flair. Pretty silly, dumb segment. A lot of Dr. Phil's segments throughout the show is just a complete and utter waste. I don't even understand why the fuck he was on the show. I mean, the deal with him talking to Ric Flair's daughter and all that, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. It strikes, it struck a good portion of the storyline that people are really fed up of is Ric Flair interfering in Charlotte's title matches and costing people opportunities to win the belt from her when they have an advantage over her. So that's pretty much on that situation. So from there, we had the New Day come out. They pretty much started things off and presented that the WWE Tag Team titles tournament is being sponsored by Booty-O's. Have their own special little tournament bracket design, which was pretty silly and stupid, but funny at the same time. So I kind of thought that was pretty cool. Not too much, attention was thrown on the New Day, apparently throughout the show, like they normally have been. They just had that one segment introducing the tag team tournament brackets, and that's about it. From there, we had the first tag team tournament match between the Lucha Dragons and the Dudley Boys. And by the way, the match with Cesaro and Kevin Owens was a 3.5. Definitely was a good match. This match here with the Dudley Boys and Lucha Dragons, the Dudley Boys did walk out on top winning the match. Kalisto looked like he got injured during that match. And he wasn't exactly moving around too much, and the trainer was feeling on the back of his neck. Now, I don't know if this is an actual injury or this is just a storyline injury to, help the Dudley Boys have an advantage in the match for them to have a believable win over the Lucha Dragons. But yeah, unfortunately, it looked like Kalisto, in my opinion, was injured, but they might have been just selling a injury, and that was basically it. From there, after the match was over, Enzo and Cass came on the stage, was talking to the Dudley Boys, had a nice confrontational verbal discussion between the two teams. Enzo was funny as shit. One of the things is that the Dudley Boys said, "We made you and Cass," and Enzo looked at them both and said, "Not really. My mama and daddy got it on and out came me." So that was pretty funny, and some of the things that they said back and forth was pretty funny. I really enjoy the verbal confrontations between these two teams. They're very funny together. Last week they had a confrontation again. Last week they had a verbal confrontation for the first time, and that was good. And this time around it was as good as before. We had Roman Reigns come out. He did a promo. My God, it was the same damn thing it was last week and Thursday Night SmackDown. It was a fucking joke. Roman Reigns saying, "I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a good guy, I'm the guy." You've already said this 2 different occasions, now you're coming out for a 3rd fucking time saying this. Get a new freaking script here. Somebody, please, give this guy something else to say besides the same run-on fucking sentences. Makes me feel like I'm listening to this fucking, like I'm listening to a recording or a broken record, or I'm listening to a rerun here. This is retarded. I mean, this is the one thing I'm gonna complain about because of the fact that this is absolutely by far the worst freaking attempt to get Roman Reigns over. You're gonna put him in with AJ Styles. What are you gonna do? Make AJ Styles be Daniel Bryan replacement? Come on, man. You gotta do something with this guy. You can't just keep making him, do the same dumb things with him. You're never going to get this guy over the way you're putting him, the way you're displaying him. His promo now sounds exactly the same for the last 2 weeks. He's just saying the same fucking thing. It was good the first time. Second time around, I guess you could do that on SmackDown because not too many people watch it, but Monday Night Raw, again, you have him saying the same fucking thing. I mean, it's retarded. As Reigns' promo goes on, he states that, AJ Styles is the new opponent. He has a lot of respect for him and Sami Zayn. So whoever wins that match, he looks forward to having the match with him, which was nice. But again, last week he was acting like he didn't care about any of the competitors that were in the Fatal 4-Way match going in. So why would he show any kind of respect towards AJ Styles or Sami Zayn, or either one of them for that matter, going in? It doesn't make any sense. So now it's like he's switched his scenario from last week to this week to a totally different thing. Very awkward and strange. Nothing seems all that big of a deal with this guy. He is displaying a little bit of character change. He is getting a lot more confidence in himself as a character, I would say. But overall, he's just a run-on sentence of the same freaking thing. Sheamus comes out with his League of Douchebag Men who are slowly but surely deceasing and ending up being less and less of a team. Sheamus pretty much goes on saying, hey, you got some confidence there? Alright, well, let's see if you can take on 3 of us. Alright, so the 3 of them come down to the ring. Roman Reigns looks like he's ready to go ahead and go to war with all 3 of them. And the Wyatt family come out. Once again, these guys came out last week and attacked the League of Nations. And there's really no explanation, or this is the one thing that they're doing on WWE right now for their build-up towards a match between League of Nations and Wyatt's. There's no explanation, there's no reasoning behind this. It's just meaningless garbage. They really need to do some sort of promo on SmackDown and re-show it on Raw in case people missed it, to give some kind of explanation to why the Wyatt family are going after the League of Nations, because quite frankly, it doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm pretty certain to everyone else. So, I mean, they're just kind of having them float around, but the end of the show, they really had Bray Wyatt look very strong. This whole situation came about where Shane came back out and announced that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns would go ahead tag team together against 2 members of the League of Nations, which was Sheamus and Del Rio, in a tag team match. And that would be the main event. Kind of disappointed in the idea of having those two tag teams going at it in the main event. But just fair warning, the main event with this tag team match was actually pretty good. So I can't deny that. But I think it was in the wrong spot. I think it should have been like the secondary main event. AJ Styles and Sami Zayn should have been the main event, the actual main event, the last thing closing the show. And having Roman Reigns and AJ Styles or so forth, with him having a stare down with the winner of the match. So we go ahead. We get the the next match that comes up is actually the Women's Championship match, Natalya versus Charlotte. This match was very well performed. Natalya, I have to say, even though the fact I don't like her in the women's title division, in the women's title hunt right now, I'm not too happy with that, but she did perform very well tonight, put on a good match with Charlotte, and I was not disappointed with this match whatsoever. This match definitely gets a 4 out of 5 stars. It would get closer to a 5 to me, if it wasn't for the interference of Ric Flair, Charlotte does walk away with the championship, losing by disqualification, but being the champion, she has the championship advantage. Uh, this match had a lot of good technical wrestling between the two. Um, Sharpshooters, the figure four, figure eight, and so forth. So there was a lot of good action that occurred in this match that I was very satisfied for a women's title match. I was very happy with. Again, 4 out of 5 stars for this match. I've been very impressed over the last couple of weeks with the women's division. I can't believe how much of a transformation the women's division has turned into. It has turned into an absolute standout performance show for WWE. I think that they will one day have a main event spot on a pay-per-view because this stuff is really outstanding. I mean, if you wanted to give the world champion a break on a pay-per-view, not have him defend the title, and have the women's championship as the main event, I see that as working out at some point. But anyway, from there, our next situation, we also had Sami Zayn backstage, pretty much doing a very good promo, self-explanatory promo. Hey, you know what? I'm an underdog, always have been. You know, pretty much a Daniel Bryan type of promo. Very authentic too. It didn't feel so scripted whatsoever. It felt very real, genuine, and it felt like something, straight out of reality. It didn't feel like, something that you were like he was being told to say all these things. It felt like he was saying them himself altogether. AJ Styles comes into the conversation, says, hey, you know what, I got a lot of respect for you. We've competed before. We also have worked our asses off in the independent circuit. So, good luck out there, but I'm walking out still the number one contender and the only one who's going to be facing Roman Reigns for the World Championship. So, that was a pretty good segment. Very good building up into their match that would be coming up later on. The Usos faced the Curtis Axel and Heath Slater. Pretty dull, boring match. Nothing here that I liked. Fuck that shit. Usos win. After the match was over, and this match was a 2 out of 5 stars. There was some good action, but not too much because of the Social Outcast being in the match. It was crap, meaningless. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson made their return. Now their return, I don't agree with. I didn't think that they should have been attacking the Usos. Not that I care about the Usos or I like them. I don't really give a fuck about them. I find them absolutely dull and boring, and they need a change on their character. But they needed something a little bit more impactful. For them to go ahead and attack the Usos, I think that was kind of stupid. I don't know about, I don't know what they could have done, but they could have probably found something more impactful for Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows to make an impact on. Maybe on the Dudley Boys, but then they would have been faces. I think they're trying to go with a heel approach with this tag team, so I don't think going against the Dudleys would have been good. But Enzo and Cass would have been probably their best bet, and they should have waited on this. But I mean, to see them make a Raw debut, it was still pretty cool nonetheless. I just think they could have gone after something a little bit more impactful than the Usos. I don't think the Usos are something that's worth anything at this point. I mean, if you wanted to give the Usos a match against Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows on the pre-show or something like that, I mean, sure, why not? It would be a squash match, in my opinion. That's how I'd do it. But in all honesty, I don't think that it was worth the Raw debut for this, but nonetheless, it was still pretty cool to see Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson make their Raw debut. but I think they could have done something a little bit more impactful than just attack the Usos. I think they should have attacked somebody else. So skipping the Maurice and Miz bullshit, that was a segment they were having. Complete utter waste. Outside of the fact that Cesaro made an appearance in this segment, saying to the Miz, "Hey, you know what? You can enjoy being the Intercontinental Champion, and good luck with trying to get a lead role in a movie somewhere because you absolutely suck. And I'll be looking forward to playing the lead role as the new Intercontinental Champion." So I like the interaction they did there, despite the fact that it sucked with The Miz. I really can't stomach The Miz anymore. I used to like him back when he was the WWE Champion in 2010-2011, because he kind of seemed a little bit more impactful. Now he's just a complete, utter waste of time and airtime, in my opinion. So, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, number one contendership. If Sami Zayn wins, he gets involved in the match and becomes a triple threat. This match, I would have to say half of it was completely boring, half of it was completely entertaining. So it was like a 50-50 match. It was good and bad. Good part about it, it was slow. That was the problem with it. First half of the show, it was too slow. They did a good chain wrestling, old school stuff in the match, which was good. I enjoyed watching that. I could respect that and appreciate it, but they could have made the pace of the match move a little bit quicker in the beginning and continued it throughout. Unfortunately, they didn't go that route. They kind of just stuck to that until the mid portion of the match, which is okay, I guess. The match wasn't horrible. It was well worth everybody's time. It was kickouts and such throughout the entire match. A lot of close falls to help build momentum in the match as well. And the final finish to the match was AJ Styles hitting the phenomenal forearm. I'm a bit surprised by that. I would think they would have went with the Styles Clash. I think that would have been a little bit better to go with than going with the phenomenal forearm, which is kind of similar to the Superman punch, only with a forearm instead of a fist. So, I mean, that really should have been like the signature move, then led into the Styles Clash, and then boom, the match is over. That's how I would have done it. But, you know what? Altogether, despite my decision, my opinion about it, I think the match was definitely decent. Well worthy to be on Monday Night Raw and made Raw worth watching. The match itself, give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The action would have been a little bit more fast paced. If only like 3/4 of it was, if 3/4 of it was fast paced and only a quarter of it was slow, I would have been satisfied with the match and definitely made it a 4 out of 5 stars. So, from there, and AJ Styles picks up the victory. Jericho and Dean Ambrose have a segment on the show where they build their match up. The supposed idea that Jericho and Dean Ambrose will have a match one-on-one at the upcoming Payback pay-per-view. And this one was a little bit awkward in my opinion. But it made a little bit of sense if you watch SmackDown. Dean Ambrose won his match against Tyler Breeze. Jericho came out of nowhere, kind of took over the spotlight of Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose kind of was a little upset and felt disrespected by it, so he went on his business with Shane McMahon's help by saying that the highlight reel would be canceled for the night and that the Ambrose Asylum would be taking over the show, with Jericho being the guest host or the guest on the Ambrose Asylum. So Dean Ambrose basically was taking over Jericho's spotlight, in which case leads to a match eventually for the pay-per-view. This storyline build-up, I mean, it's a good start, but they need a little bit more detail. I think they need a little bit more friction between these two, because them taking each other's spotlights is a little silly. It's kind of childish. Um, they need something that's going to make it even more worth watching. Um, this is kind of just the beginning building blocks, which I'm fine with. But as time goes on, they need to make this a little bit more progressive than just a simple I'm taking your spotlight, you're taking mine kind of thing. That's how this all started out. This needs to build into something more. Overall, though, it's a nice, decent start, I guess. At least for a starting point for them to build it up into a maximum amount of momentum and climax, and then eventually just kind of end it from there once they've reached their highest point with this storyline. Because I think it's going to be a good storyline. You're definitely going to see some decent matches out of these two going into pay-per-views if you see them fight multiple times at a pay-per-view event. So definitely it's well worth your time to invest in. So a good move on WWE's part, and it was also rumored that this was the original idea, that Dean Ambrose was supposed to face Jericho with Dean Ambrose as the IC champion going in. So that was a bit awkward for them to just switch on that all of a sudden. So let me skim through here. We also had Apollo Crews facing Adam Rose. Nice little squash match for Apollo Crews. Eventually, Apollo Crews really needs to get a good opponent for him to face one-on-one leading into a pay-per-view. I don't think now, but maybe for the next coming pay-per-view of Extreme Rules, he could have a pre-show match. For right now, what they're doing, I'm okay with. Apollo Crews walked away decisively over Adam Rose, so this match was nothing. I give it a 2 out of 5 stars. The last thing on this whole situation was the Wyatt family. Or Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns versus the League of Nations, with Sheamus and Del Rio being the representatives for their team, going up against Bray and Roman Reigns. This match, I'd have to say, was pretty damn entertaining, despite the fact that I don't agree that it should have been the last match on the show. Action went back and forth. Roman Reigns was booed constantly throughout this entire match. Anytime somebody was gaining momentum and beating them up, they were cheering their fucking asses off. Anytime Roman Reigns did anything, of course he was booed, just like WrestleMania 32 and every other show he's been on in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, months actually. Or actually the last year or so he's been booed out the fucking building. What am I talking about? And I don't blame people. This guy's boring. He's dull. There's nothing about him that stands out and says, I'm a WWE superstar. I'm a guy that's a main eventer. I'm going to blow your fucking mind. He's boring. There's nothing about this guy that stands out to make you say, whoa, this guy is really talented. He's fucking unbelievable. The guy has, if you're going to be a stale character, at least have some fucking in-ring ability. He doesn't have any of that. His whole freaking match of in-ring time was clotheslines after clothesline after clothesline with a spear, Superman punch, you name it. The same freaking moves over and over again. When are we going to see him do suplexes? Fuck, I'd rather see him do a German suplex. Let him be like Brock Lesnar. Do 100 fucking German suplexes in one match. I'd rather see that than these fucking clotheslines. I mean, the guy, what does the guy do? He can't do any freaking wrestling holds? I mean, he's supposed to be a wrestler. So do some wrestling moves, huh? It would work out, wouldn't it? But, I mean, with all that aside, Bray Wyatt looked outstanding in this match. He was freaking awesome. The fans were going crazy for this guy. And at the end of the day, they gave Bray Wyatt the win. And Roman Reigns played the supporting winner with Bray Wyatt. Very impressed by that. I love the idea. I love the booking on that match. The way they ended it, everything. After the match was over, Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns had a stare down, with Roman Reigns holding the WWE Championship on his shoulder. Kind of made you feel like Roman Reigns was facing Bray Wyatt at this pay-per-view instead of AJ Styles. See, that's the reason why I said that the WWE, the number one contendership match should have been the main event instead of this tag team match. This match should have gone on at the time that AJ and Sami Zayn should have gone on, and then at the end, AJ Styles and Roman Reigns should have been having a stare down, with Roman holding the belt up over his head. That would have been the better ending to the show, but regardless, this is giving you a very good hint, and you could have done the same thing here after the match was over if it was a secondary main event and not the closing match. So, I mean, honestly, I think it would have been good to do it that way, but this kind of gives you a hint that Bray Wyatt is getting a shot eventually against Roman Reigns for that world title. That I definitely can bank on for certain. So I definitely predict probably by SummerSlam we're seeing Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt go at it again for the World Heavyweight Championship. And hopefully this time they can give us a better performance than what they gave us last year. Because last year wasn't all that great. I mean, their first match was pretty good. The Hell in a Cell was okay. And the tag team matches just absolutely sucked. So, this tag team match actually was way better than any of the tag team matches they had against each other. So they performed very well together, and I was very impressed by it. This match definitely gets a 4 out of 5 stars in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that, but I don't give a shit. Because this crowd really is that's the reason why I'm giving this 4 out of 5 stars. This crowd was fucking unreal with this match. They were screaming, hollering, and all over the place, and totally in tune with this match from beginning to end. So definitely a very good show. I enjoyed everything that happened on this show mostly. Few things I disagreed with. There are some storylines that need a little bit more build-up, as I said, especially Jericho and Dean Ambrose, but nice start building block for this storyline here that they got going. And on top of it, AJ and Sami Zayn should have gotten the main event spot, so that, you know, at the end we have that feeling like Roman Reigns and AJ Styles are facing each other for the world title at Payback instead of Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. It kind of felt a little awkward the way that ended, but it was giving us a clue that Bray Wyatt is definitely getting a push. It definitely feels that way with that being what it is. But anyway, at this time, let me go ahead, guys, and let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about Monday Night Raw. Hopefully it was a good show to you guys as well as it was to me. But definitely 2 weeks, 2 Raws in a row, good shows, decent. This one was actually better than last week's a little bit, and definitely worth all my time invested for 3 hours. Can't believe it. 2 weeks in a row, and I'm getting them good 3-hour episodes, and they're worth watching. Holy fuck. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, at this time, guys, I'm going to get going. Hit the like button if you like the video, and hit that subscribe button to catch up on, or catch in. Ugh. Excuse me, guys. Let me start over there. Hit the subscribe button to catch all great WWE, WCW, ECW retro review content, as well as WWE current WWE product information from me, yours truly, World of Wrestling. If you enjoyed this video, once again, hit that like button and leave a comment below, and I'll definitely get back to you guys. Thank you very much, guys, and have a great night. Bye.